What's up, everybody? It's Realistic with Realistic Productions doing another tutorial for SoundOracle.net. And we're going to continue on with the fundamental series, and today we're going to be focused on vocals. We're going to go over both male and female vocals because there's different frequencies to consider for each one. Now, the key to most successful records, whether it's pop or trap or hip-hop or whatever is going out there, vocals is so key. So we really want to know what we can do to make sure that the vocals really shine through, and we're going to want to know what we should cut from these vocals and what we should also do to boost, because both of these will allow the vocals to really pop through and shine through the music and be really special. Alright, let's dive in. Alright, so I got Pro Tools open up here, but as I always say, these tips and techniques will work in any DAW, and if you have the capability of doing it, go ahead and open up your DAW choice and do this along with me. You'll find that you'll learn a lot more if you do this along with me versus trying to remember it later. It's just a little bit easier to retain. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be going over the fundamental frequencies of vocals. So I chose to what I believe is the perfect song for this because it has both male and female vocals in this song. So this is a track that I actually produced and recorded a little while ago for some two artists that I work with quite frequently. They're actually my two of my favorite ones to work with. It's Alexis Christine and Pharaoh. They're both super talented. This particular one, we use more of an auto-tune effect on here to go for kind of a radio mainstream sounding effect, but I can rest assure you that the female vocalist in here is such a phenomenal singer that she does not need auto-tune, and she rarely actually uses it. You can check out her stuff if you want to hear more of her natural sounding voice, but we just did it, like I said, for this one for more of the effects, so don't judge her on that. I think it sounds awesome. I think she totally killed the effect on here as well. So what I'm going to do is we're going to throw some EQs on here real quick, and I'll probably also throw some compressors on here, just some lightweight. Well, I'll probably actually go with some UAD ones real quick so it's a little bit less daunting on my computer here. So let me just go ahead and get this compressor on her voice.
Left late on our third day, but I couldn't wait. But I couldn't stay the night. First try.
All right, cool. I just did that to just kind of control the dynamics and also bring the gain up a little bit there. So what we're going to be focusing on, though, is we're going to be focusing on the EQ part of it right here. And we're going to look for what to boost and what to cut. So you can probably guess the first thing that we're going to want to do is get rid of some of this low end right here. So as we don't need that, especially on vocals.
Our third day,
I'll find a little part where she sings a little bit more.
but I couldn't stay the night. But I couldn't stay.
So all this down here, we don't need that. I mean, you can't hear that in the mix anyways, and it's gonna conflict with a lot of stuff.
But I couldn't stay the night.
So we'll go ahead and we'll do the same thing to the male lead here as well, because we won't need that low end there.
You'll ever go bankrupt, but if you call him, I hang up. Black magic lives deep in your palms. You'll ever go bankrupt.
You can see too that I'm not really changing it too much when I get rid of some of that low end. That's probably a pretty obvious part. I'm sure for a lot of you, you've already known that as a fact. So now what I'm going to do is we'll start with just focusing on the female lead here. The first thing that I always try to get out is this mid-range area. I try to scope for it. It's kind of called what you might call the sock in the mouth. It kind of sounds more like this. I just put my hands over my mouth there to kind of show you, but it's kind of more of that sound that I'm trying to search for. So show you that, and what I usually do is I'll just boost, really exaggerate the boost there to kind of scope it out and find it.
But I couldn't stay the night. But I couldn't stay the night. but I couldn't stay the night.
So it's that area right there that I'm looking for. If I zero it out,
But I couldn't stay the night.
and watch as I bring this down here.
But I couldn't stay the night.
And let me turn off this delay for a moment here so you can really hear what I'm doing here. And I'm not going to do it too much. I don't want to like kill her voice there and go like 10 dB. It's usually only like, 1, 2, or 3 dB, somewhere around there. Usually the mid-range, I'm a little bit more aggressive than I am anywhere else for cutting. So we'll show you kind of what that sounds like.
But I couldn't stay the night.
Without it.
But I couldn't stay the night.
And then I'll show you in the song here.
But I couldn't stay the night.
And then without it.
But I couldn't stay the night. But I couldn't stay the.
Show you a different part of it too.
I can't wait for us. I can't wait for.
So that part right there, I put more emphasis on that frequency than I am like the other ones. I just really wanted to show you how important it is to get rid of this area. This is always the first thing I go for. I'll kind of scope it out and see where I can find that area of problems right there. And you can hear just that alone just gave it a dramatic increase right there as far as what the issues were and cleaned up a lot of the muddiness, and it makes it seem brighter, even though we have not boosted anything yet, which is really great about that situation. All right, so another thing that I try to look out for, especially with female vocals, is this area between about like 2 to 3K. You got to be careful with this area because some people swear by boosting this area, but you got to be careful when you boost in there because if the vocalist is a really powerful vocalist, sometimes you can get a really pingy sound and it can kind of hurt the ears a little bit. So generally, this is an area that I try to kind of ease up a little bit and duck out a little bit, but just be aware that there are some people that swear by this area. But if you do boost that area, you are going to get a harsh, pingy sound that's going to hurt a lot of people's ears at higher volumes.
But I couldn't stay the night.
And see, the issue that I've always had with this, especially on female singers, of why I don't like to boost in that area, is when they get a little beltier. So listen how she ends this right here. Right here. So it gets a little bit harsher right there. And I'll zero it out so you can really hear it. So now that you heard it zeroed out, check it out. And let me bypass it. So you can hear it a little bit there. So I try to just duck that a little bit. I don't want to like take too much. It's usually only like by a dB or two. So, and then sometimes I'll also check out this other area here, the low end. I'll switch to a different part of the song so we don't get burnt out on that line. So this area right here, I'll check out a little bit.
I can't wait for us.
It's got good proximity, but it can resonate a little bit with some other instruments. So sometimes I might just ease up on that a little bit. But another thing that I'll do instead of cutting that is I'll do this instead. I'll throw a multi-band compressor on there. And what I'll do is instead of EQing it out, I'll just compress it down when it gets a little too much.
I can't wait for us.
So this is the area that I want, is this lower area down here.
I can't wait for us. I can't wait for us.
So without it.
I can't wait for us.
And with it.
I can't wait for us.
So it just pushes it down just a little bit when it gets a little too much to stop it from getting too muddy. And the same thing is what I'll do is this area where I showed you where it gets a little pingy right here. We'll put that on a annoying loop right there, and we'll try to find it out. I like to, for this sake right here, I do like to zero it out so I can really hear, because I know what sound I'm trying to get rid of. So it's there, and you can probably hear too, it's at the end of it, the it, it's the end of that where it gets a little harsh. So I'll duck that down just a little bit, that way it doesn't hurt the ears too much. So you can hear that eases it up a little bit there. Yeah, so it definitely helps there. It brings it down a little bit, makes it a little bit easier to listen to. So let's check out some of the stuff to cut on the male lead, and then we'll go back and we'll boost some things on the female lead.
She calls late.
So kind of the same thing. I try to look for that sock in the mouth frequency.
She calls late. She calls late. She calls late. She calls late. She calls.
So yeah, it's usually, that frequency is usually between like 500 to 700. Sometimes it's at 400. Sometimes it's at 800. Like I always say with these fundamental frequencies, you know, don't take these words as gospel that this is going to apply on every single song and every single vocal. I mean, you got to search a little bit, but I'm definitely getting you in the right direction, in the right ballpark of where this stuff is at. So now we've kind of found this.
She calls late.
And let's listen to it here without me cutting it yet.
She calls late.
And then I'll cut it.
She calls late.
And I'll bypass.
She calls late. She calls late.
See how that cleans it up and gets rid of some of the muddiness there. So what we'll do is the same thing that we did with the females. We'll try to find that problem area there where it's up in the 2 to 3K, because I find sometimes, especially rappers, not always so much like the soul R&B male singers. It's usually rappers and female singers that I find that harshness in that 2 to 3K.
For your lover go bankrupt. For your lover go bankrupt. But if you call him, I hang up black magic. For your lover go bankrupt.
So can you hear that piercing a little bit at about 2.8?
For your lover go bankrupt.
Let me zero it out. So let's bring this down so you can hear it without it being boosted.
For your lover go bankrupt.
So yeah, it's just a little aggressive there. So just do something just a little gentle.
For your lover go bankrupt. But if you call him, all
right, and then we'll do the same thing here where I'll put a multi-band compressor on his vocals here.
But if you call him, I hang up black. But if you call him, I hang up black magic lives deep in your palm.
So I don't, the point of this is I don't want to get rid of that right there. I want some of that fullness, some of that proximity, so it feels close and doesn't feel too thin. So I want that in there. I just want to duck it down a little bit.
But if you call him, I hang up black magic lives deep in your palm. But if you call him, I hang up black magic.
And then the same thing, I'll try to find that little problem area where it gets a little screechy and piercy.
But if you call him, I hang up black magic lives deep in your palm. But if you call him, I hang up black magic lives deep.
Seems to be a little bit more on this one. I heard it.
For your lover go bankrupt. 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 For your lover go bankrupt.
So let's check out what these sound like here.
For your lover go bankrupt.
And then we'll put them in.
For your lover go bankrupt.
Just kind of smooth that out a little bit here. So now we'll hear it, how these correspond with each other a little bit.
She left late
On our third day,
but I couldn't wait.
but I couldn't stay the night.
All right, so now we're going to focus on some areas that we can boost and add a little bit more shine and everything too. So Generally, I try to grab an EQ that has a little bit more color to it. This is a very transparent, very flat and clean sounding EQ. So that's why I tend to gravitate towards that for cutting. But then for boosting, I tend to gravitate towards something that has a little bit more color and tone to it. Sometimes it's the SSL EQ, sometimes it's the API 550A or B, sometimes it's that mag EQ that you can get from UAD that's got that nice air filter on there, and sometimes it's this Psy EQ right here by Sound Toys. This one just has a really smooth tone to it, so that's why sometimes I go for it. It does suck that it's notched here, so I don't have a lot of choices, but I'll show you some areas to kind of worth boosting. Usually for female vocalists, the part where the most articulation is going to be either between 3 to 4K or between 4 and 5.5K. I actually want to find a different EQ. I'm going to grab the SSL EQ just so I have quite a bit more options to show you here.
Refill your cup while I light the suede.
And usually I don't want to go with too wide of a cue here. I kind of want to go with kind of in the middle, leaning more towards a narrow one.
Refill your cup while I light the suede. This joining you is all I need. Refill your cup while I light the suede. I fall in love the more I get higher, higher, higher. I fall in love the more I get higher, higher, higher. I fall in love the more I get higher, higher, higher. I fall in love the more I get higher, higher, higher. I fall in love the more I get higher, higher, higher. I fall in love the more I get higher, higher, higher.
So around 5K, I'm finding that I'm able to bring out some of her breathiness a little bit there and some more of her clarity there. So without it,
I fall in love the more I get higher, higher, higher. I fall in love the more I get higher, higher, higher.
So pay attention right here. I'm going in and out halfway through. Just to kind of show you the difference.
I fall in love the more I get higher, higher, higher. I fall in love the more I get higher, higher, higher.
So you can see that kind of gave it more of that presence right there. And then I know I said earlier that top shelf with 10K and above isn't where you want to get all that brightness. You do want to consider boosting that, but I'm just saying don't rely on that exclusively. You do want to pay attention to these mid-highs as well. But usually I'll put some type of high shelf in there just to give it some air, to give her some nice extra like floaty breathiness.
I fall in love the more I get higher, higher, higher.
So you see, as soon as I did that, that gave her voice a little bit more sparkle.
I fall in love the more I get higher, higher, higher.
I tend to do that usually more around like 10 to 12K instead of going between 7 and 8.
I fall in love the more I get higher, higher.
You'll see that usually gives it a little bit more harshness, and I don't want that in my ears or the listener's ears.
I fall in love the more I get higher, higher, higher.
And you'll see when I boost, I get more aggressive when I'm trying to find where the areas are so I can really hear what's going on with it, and then I'll ease up on it a little bit here.
I fall in love the more I get higher, higher.
So without this,
I fall in love the more I get higher, higher. I fall in love the more I get higher.
and then we'll check it with it.
Refill your cup while I light the suede. This joining you is all I. Refill your cup while I light the suede. Refill your cup while I light the suede.
So you can see it's starting to give it more of that professional tone there. And then let's head over to the male vocalist here and kind of focus on the same thing here. And what I'll do is I'll move these up here just so we're not getting burnt out on the same part of the song. This is the bridge here, but we'll check this out too because I also know that he's singing a little bit more here. All right, so let's find a good part of this one. I think it's going to be more this area where we hear a little bit more of him having some more consistent parts.
I need your love the most. I feel.
All right, so we'll check this out here. And I'll solo him, and I'll bring back Alexis in a little bit here.
I need your love the most.
So I'm gonna search for, again, with that 3 to 4 or 5K. That's usually where we find the articulation. With men, it's usually 4 to 5, and like I said, with females, it's 3 to 5.5. It's a little bit broader there.
I need your love. I need your love the most. I feel you coming close. I need your love the most. I feel you coming close. I need your love the most. I feel you.
So you got to be careful sometimes when, especially when people get a little louder, is when you're boosting between that 3 to 4, is that you'll get some of that harsh pinginess.
I need your love the most. I feel you coming close. I need your love the most. I feel you coming close. I need your love the most. I feel you coming close. I need your love the most. I feel you coming close. I need your love the most. I feel you coming close. I need your love the most. I feel you.
So on this one, I chose more close to 4K. Use your discretion. You know, some people might have a little bit different taste than I do, but this is kind of where I'm hearing that I like it. And then we'll boost again on the top end here. We'll start at 10, and we'll see if we can get this polished up a little bit.
I need your love the most. I feel you coming close. I need your love the most. I feel you coming close.
So this one I chose a little bit closer to 12 just because I was hearing some harshness at 10K there. I'll bring it back to 10.
I need your love the most.
Especially on need.
I need your.
So I'll move it back.
I need your love the most. I feel you.
And then without the EQ here.
I need your love the most. I feel you coming close. I need your love the most. I feel you coming close. I need your love the most. I feel you coming close.
So you can hear how that really kind of sparkled up his voice a little bit. And now we'll hear it in the mix here.
Fantasy. I need your love the most. I feel you coming close. I'm hoping that you might. So darling, stay the night. I see you in my dreams.
In my reality.
And we'll come back over here where they're singing a little bit more together in the
She
verses.
calls late.
I hope she calls me.
I can't wait for us.
To be left late.
Our third date.
But I couldn't wait.
But I couldn't stay the night.
And now let me bypass all of this right here.
But I couldn't wait.
But I couldn't stay the night.
Now bring it back in.
But I couldn't wait.
But I couldn't stay the night.
First try.
First try.
So you can hear kind of what we did there. We're able to clean it up a little bit, get rid of some of that muddiness, that muffled sock in the mouth in the mid-range, and then we were able to find some of the harsh areas and then just really polish it up and get some nice sparkle and stuff going in there as well. So hopefully you got some use out of this tutorial. Hopefully you were able to walk away with a better understanding on how to mix and EQ vocals. If you're wondering why I had the EQ cutting before the compressor and then I had the EQ boosting after the compressor, I do have a full tutorial on that. It's called what should come first, EQ or compressor, and I go through all of the details of why and things to consider, and I also bring up situations of when you might not go that route and you might do something different. So I'm hoping that you got a lot out of this tutorial today. Hopefully there's some information that was useful. If you're getting a lot out of this but you want to see more, please feel free to comment below. Let us know what kind of tutorials that you want to see in the future, and Oracle and I can definitely make that happen. We're always trying to find the content that you want to see. If you're liking what you're hearing from me, you can find me everywhere on social media at Realistic Productions. You can find me at the web, realisticproductions.net. You can find my man SoundOracle everywhere at SoundOracle. And if you're looking for the best 808s, the best kicks, the best snares with the craziest loops and samples you can find on the internet right now, go to SoundOracle.net. All right, till next time.